here we are.
I think we've had another hiatus we're coming back from.
Yeah,
right?
this is the second podcast of the year, I think.
It's pretty much, I think, right. I'm trying my best to catch up with editing, so.
We're about to jump into another hiatus.
Well, you know how summer is, right? We all have things we're going to go do and vacations we go on. And,
well, work gets in the way sometimes.
yeah, work gets in the way.
So.
I mean, we are dudes like us, and we have lives, right?
Yeah.
I don't
Until
know why
this
we're
becomes
putting anything
full-time
ahead
and
of the podcast.
And we're
but
making millions off of this, and we can retire and just do this full time, and then
you know what?
You get.
That's a great point. So, if there's any listener out there that wants to hear us more often, I really don't understand that, but if you want to hear us more often, make us mega successful.
There you go.
And we'll be here every week without fail. Actually, twice a week.
Every day,
fail.
probably, right?
You want to go every day?
Sure.
Damn. That'd be a lot.
Yeah, it would be. Well, folks do it. These talk show guys, Rush Limbaugh, 3-hour show every single day.
That's very, very impressive.
By himself.
Now, I get that they spend a good part of the day preparing,
right?
And they have like a team of 17,000 people that give them material and stuff,
right?
Or maybe 3 or 4 people.
Yeah, they got the researchers, but those radio hosts are researching themselves, so they know what they're talking about.
Well, I know Mark Levin is definitely like that.
Yeah,
he gets he's has all of his paperwork and he's going through stuff. And,
right.
I mean, he goes very in depth on some of his explanations of stuff as well.
Right.
See, we have that luxury. We can just see, I think so.
Let's Google it.
Yeah, I don't know. Is that right? And then 90% of the time it's not right.
Right.
So that's okay. We're the masters.
Yeah, people could yell at us and go, "You're wrong."
Yeah, we really should just call our podcast misinformation.
Well, we're getting tagged by that, so we're good.
Oh, well, good.
Well,
okay,
you know what?
then,
We're only getting tagged for the perceived misinformation from COVID.
Well, our strike period is over, so we could post again on YouTube.
Ah.
I saw that today.
So I'm just going to upload one.
Well,
yeah,
that's
two, maybe.
So was that our first strike?
I believe so, yes.
Yeah, the first big one. But
So is it 1 in a year, or is it 3 in a year, or is it just 3 forever?
I think it's 3 forever.
Ooh, that's not a good start.
We're already 33% in.
I don't care.
Hey, look, but remember, if we're the forbidden podcast, that's when people you know what I mean? That's when they really want to seek it out because it's...
Well, then they bear us and they never find us.
I mean, look, you've got Louder with Crowder that was on YouTube forever, and he just recently was like, fuck you guys.
Yeah, he's out.
Where'd he go?
Yeah.
Go to Rumble?
Yeah, he's on Rumble.
Yeah, but the thing is...
Rumble's an option. They're not going to cancel us.
No.
And why would they cancel us? We love everybody.
Well,
I don't think we've said a negative thing about anybody on this podcast.
The only thing, well,
not one. Not even about Biden.
Well,
we love that guy. He's an old, he's cute.
And camel toe?
In fact, we went to his defense.
Oh, well, we've never called her camel toe.
Old fart
That's the first
abuse.
I've heard that. Do it.
Wait, it's just old fart abuse. He's,
Yeah.
I don't really care
see the two old dudes, the King
YouTube
Charles.
thing.
King Charles is guiding
ambling down the
President Biden. The two of them are like, where are we? I don't know.
Yeah, Biden tries to talk to the Imperial Guard, and they're not allowed to, the pillbox guys.
Right.
Yeah.
I guess Biden's trying to talk to them, and
right.
Hey,
they're not allowed to talk.
Chocolate pudding around here?
Yeah, but aren't they what do you call it when you have the puppet and you don't move your mouth, but you say stuff?
Ventriloquist.
Yeah, so the guy's like, fuck off. To
with the king right in front of him.
But you can't, his mouth doesn't move.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember when Donald Trump was walking with the royal family, and
the queen at the time.
Yeah, he's walking in front of the queen, and they ripped his ass for doing that.
Oh, for being
disrespectful.
Just you pompous and disrespectful. Oh, look at him walking in front. And Biden was an aimless lapdog walking around. It just precarious.
He was
aimlessly walking around.
But dude, it's everywhere he goes, right? Remember when he was in Japan, he was going down those steps, and he was like, "Oh, there was no guardrail or whatever." And I think not the emperor, but somebody else was like, kind of helping him. It just looks bad.
He needs to
go away.
Be in a wheelchair.
It does. It needs to go away.
Yeah.
Well, even the libs are starting to call for him to go away.
That's such a profound statement. He needs to go away. Except he's not.
He needs to retire.
He's not going anywhere.
He needs to retire.
He's running for re-election for another 4 years.
A lot of the libs are coming out saying they don't want that.
No.
Even the press is starting to get onto that.
Yeah, because they enjoy the fact that he doesn't make any decisions whatsoever. They completely control him, but so why wouldn't they want that another 4 years?
Well, they can't get
it just looks bad.
Well, he doesn't participate with the media at all.
Yeah,
except he'll make a sit down, once or twice a year. That's it. He
Yeah,
doesn't
I
do press
know.
conferences.
I mean, sooner or later, they can't keep getting away with that. I mean, the journalists are getting all pissed off, and that poor lady.
Well,
I say poor lady because I know we don't like her, but the press secretary. Would you want that job? Just think about that. Every time you walk into that room, you're like, oh my God, all the shit I'm going to have to deal with because of this, all the bullshit that's going on in this administration, right? With him not acknowledging his 7th grandkid, with him, almost falling or, did fall.
the cocaine.
The cocaine. Oh, I forgot about the cocaine. I mean, seriously.
That's one of the first things
You would almost
they
think-
fingerprinted that bag. I mean, I want to know whose fingerprints are on
Oh,
there.
they know whose it is. I guarantee they
Of
know.
course
They have
they do.
video of it, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Someone pulled a little bag out of their pocket and left it there.
Dude, this is like, I mean, remember how it started? A suspicious white substance found in the White House, and they're
In
now
the
testing it to
library.
make sure, and they're testing it to make sure it's, not like anthrax or something, and they're like, fuck, it's cocaine.
Right.
And it's some good shit.
Yeah,
too.
he's like, dude, this is high caliber shit.
Bobby, taste this.
Anyway, unbelievable.
What if we
I
got
mean, this
Well,
is
it
like-
keeps changing. It keeps changing.
This
it was
is
in the
like an SNL skit, man.
it was in the library, which is very exclusive. Only so many people can get into the library.
Well, maybe it was Mr. Plum. And
Well,
the
then-
candlestick.
I was thinking this.
Then it turns into
Were you really?
Yeah.
Yeah, in the library, and then it moves into a common area, and then it moves to another area. Then it
Oh,
moves,
about where they're saying it was
well,
found.
it keeps moving.
Yeah,
oh,
because they know exactly who was in the library when that cocaine was found.
right.
So if you have limited access, then I'm sure they can figure it all out. But I mean,
Oh, they know who it is.
yeah, so.
They're just waiting for it to die down in the press.
Oh, by the way,
There was
this
probably,
is,
I mean, if it was in a Ziploc baggie, there's probably a Sharpie name on the outside of it.
Probably.
I mean, who's gonna? I would put my name on a Sharpie.
HB.
Yeah.
well, do fingerprints show up on plastic baggies?
Sure, why not?
I would imagine so.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I don't know.
The buzz,
But the
is
experts
that,
are saying it has to be family because they are the ones that bypass like metal detector shit.
Well, I was going to say.
Not that this is metal, but they go through thorough inspection if it's
well, I was
not
going to
family.
say. I mean,
through cavities, creases, and folds.
Oh, yeah.
folds. Well, I think it raises the question of if it's not one of them, that means someone else walked in with a bag of powder. Okay, it's cocaine this time, but what makes us think that next time it's not something worse?
That's a good point.
You know?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, so I like your angle. So we're not laughing at them or thinking it's ridiculous. We're worried about our president.
Of course.
See the
Well,
angle
I
there?
mean,
Of course.
We're worried about the safety of the leader of the free world.
what
of course. You know,
does
he's
is
still
it
the
brings a
president.
realization that the White House is mortal. You know, it has weaknesses. It's
You mean they're
Well-
they're people? They're human?
Well, I mean, it's like the Death Star. You've got that 2-meter hole up there. Not bigger, much bigger than a wombat.
and if you
Womp rat.
hit it just right.
Yeah.
Well, I think is it a
What a
weakness?
horrible design of that.
I know.
The
It's just
nerve.
one. Well, he did it on purpose. That was a design flaw that was built in.
Yeah. Well, I
Did you watch Rogue One?
Oh,
The-
yeah.
the
He
great-
did that on purpose.
Whoa! Really?
Yes.
Oh, my God.
I've
Who are
seen
you?
Road Run. It was a long
Road
time
Run,
ago.
Rogue.
I said
You can't even say it.
Rogue.
Yeah, he
Rogue.
built that into it so it could be
Not
destroyed.
Shogun.
Who
It's like Rogue
who did?
I don't know what the character's name was.
Oh, you don't remember?
It was the girl's dad.
the girl's dad.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's very helpful.
That he
Thank
called
you.
Stardust.
Yes.
Really?
That was her nickname.
It was Mads Mikkelsen
Oh.
is the actor.
Oh. So he really.
If I had my laptop, I can.
Yes,
look that up,
he
but-
built.
Why-
He built that. He let his daughter
So,
know,
hold
so
on.
she went in and got the plans for it.
How did you go from White House to a flaw in the Death Star? What was your?
Well, because there was a flaw in the look. If they can, like Jeff said, if they can sneak something in there and it's some sort of dust, if they can sneak a chemical in there, Coke, whatever, it could be. It could be anthrax. It could be anything.
Oh, I got you.
You know, I mean, what?
It could be fentanyl that they just poof. Just the dust will kill you if it's strong enough.
Dude, I know that's crazy.
You get a
All
large
have
crowd
to
in
do,
there.
what a great point. All you have to do is be exposed to the dust of fentanyl, and it can kill you.
If
It will
it's
kill
potent
you.
enough, yeah.
Shit.
So that's what I mean. I was like, I think it had to have been someone who skirted by that check. They probably have drug dogs there or something that sniffs that shit.
Do you think they have one of those? What do they call the pen that you have to inject yourself with? If you,
Narcan?
a Narcan pen.
I'm sure they do.
Do you think somebody near the president always has a Narcan pen?
They have
Probably.
a full
I would.
medical they have a full medical suitcase full of stuff
Yeah.
that's ready to go on a moment's notice.
I think
the president.
Narcan fights more than just fentanyl, so
Yeah.
just drug overdose.
Oh yeah.
So
And hangovers.
we should buy some Narcan just so when we're done.
Well,
at the
I
Rebel.
guess the point of this is that the White House is porous.
We're in the parking lot,
there-
dude. I don't know, man.
There are people getting in, and regardless who it is, it's family member, someone a trusted part of the family. If it's in a part of the White House that a guest can't get in, like you and I, we're going up there around tour, because they say that technically the Bidens weren't even there. They said they found it on a Tuesday? No, they found it on a Sunday.
They found it. Well, they were there.
They were there.
They didn't leave until Friday evening.
Yeah, and they were gone and didn't come back till Tuesday.
Yeah, but they said at first they weren't there, and they were.
They were there
There was an
until-
overlap of time where they were there when
Yes.
the cocaine was found.
Correct.
And they lied about that. They lied where it was.
The way she phrased it made
Oh.
it sound like they weren't there Friday, but they didn't leave until Friday evening.
Yeah.
Evening.
It's so shady.
So they were just like, they left Friday.
Yep.
So
so
Yeah,
shady.
so they weren't there. So yeah,
I mean,
left in the
that's
evening.
part of the problem. When you lie, I mean, you remember back when we were kids, we'd make up a lie, and then like, oh fuck, and then you make another lie, and then another lie on top
That's
of
why I
that
don't
lie,
like, because-
and then it starts to unravel, man.
Yep.
And that's what's happening to the press secretary and the entire administration that's trying to cover up for all this bullshit. This lie on top of lie on top of lie. These journalists are not stupid, man, and they're trying to write a story and they're trying to get the details,
Right.
and it's
And they're still trying to spin it in
I
their
know it.
benefit.
it's so dumb.
Yeah. So yeah, I've done the White House tour.
Really,
Yeah.
you've been in the White House?
Yes, I have.
Now, okay, so you know firsthand. If you had a bag of cocaine
I
in
could
your
have gotten
pocket,
it in.
could you have just kind of tossed it through the door into the library? After putting
I don't think I
after
got
writing
anywhere near the
HB,
library.
After writing HB in a Sharpie on.
Just kind of throw this big old bag.
Yeah.
Like a brick.
Was it a big bag?
I have no idea how big the thing is.
Oh.
Was it a big old 8-ball?
I mean, what is typical? Like if somebody,
I have no idea.
If you're not going to deal it, it's not going to be a bunch.
I don't know, Sean.
Sean, yeah, you're an expert on this. When you bought cocaine bags just for personal recreational use, how big was the bag and how much was in it?
Well, typically you can buy them in quarter gram, half grams, or an 8-ball. That's the traditional denominations.
What you didn't say, listeners, is when he realized what we were saying, his face contorted like, really? But he didn't say, really.
Right.
Anyway. Yeah. Anyway, so that's fun stuff happening in the world today. But yeah, we've been out for a while, so I'm sure there's a bunch of stuff we're missing.
Well, I was on, my wife and I went on a vacation
That's right.
2 weeks ago, I think.
Napa or
Yeah.
Napa?
Well, first off, we went to see my dad outside of Lake Tahoe. We spent some time there. It was really good to see him.
Yeah.
He's doing really good.
Good.
And after his heart attack, so he's doing well. Still not as strong as he used to be, but he's getting there. He lost 40 pounds.
Oh wow, that helps.
It helps, but now he's really skinny.
Oh really? He looks frail.
Not frail. I haven't seen him that thin in a long time. When he was running
Okay.
marathons, he was in really good shape, but he wasn't old, so his skin wasn't hanging
Gotcha.
like it is now. So it's.
But it was a different look for you.
Yeah, it was. And
Did it concern you or
no, because he wasn't skin and bones.
okay?
So he's
Was it-
he's 6'1". He was probably 170 pounds.
Was
He didn't
it
look
a-
unhealthy, but still.
No.
Was it a dudes like us moment where you're kind of like, hey, I think dudes like us have conversations with their parents. They have to wheel them in. Hey, say, maybe it's time that you move and come closer to where.
Oh, I've had that discussion like after he had the heart attack when he was in really
yeah.
bad shape, right? And
Yeah, you have
but,
to.
But what you have done is you upgraded some of the technology. Gave him
Right.
a watch, right?
So when we went out, that's what I was going to say. When we went out there, one of his concerns about living alone is him falling, and someone finding him in like a month.
Yeah.
Right.
The whole red button thing.
Right. So when we were out there, and he accepted this very fast. I was like, I want to go with you, and you buy an Apple Watch.
Okay.
What that requires is a new phone, an Apple
Yes.
phone. So his phone was so old, it was so slow, it was ridiculous. He was like, all right, I'll do it. So we went out there, we got him the new iPhone,
Nice.
and the Verizon, whoever it was out of the watch. Or they wanted the self-service with their watch. I was like, no, he doesn't need that shit.
Right.
So we went to
The
Best
bare
Buy.
minimum needed to get the Apple Watch.
Yeah, so we went to Best Buy. He got the one he wanted, and I activated it, turned it on, so the fall detection is there.
Oh, nice.
and I set up the contact, so it'll text me and my sister.
Okay.
I told him, I was like, you need to find one of your neighbors and ask him, hey, can I put you in case I fall, and you'll get a text. You come over and check on me. But it'll also call 911.
And he's got somebody nearby.
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Well,
I really don't know.
Because
they
they live kind of
stops.
spread out, right? So.
Well, it
Sorry.
sense when your heart stops. Let's say you have a heart attack.
It's got an ECG, electrocardiogram. It does your temperature, ECG, your pulse ox, and your heart rate. I don't know if it'll detect if your heart stops. I don't know if it does anything. But if you fall, obviously you know from experience, your father-in-law, but that's what his concern was.
Which
Oh,
was
yeah, for
remarkable because
Yeah.
he was he's an older gentleman. He's in his late 70s or mid 70s, and he backed up into an access through a floor, and it was like a 2 foot by 2 foot square, and he said, "Hey man, by the way, don't step in that." And then he backed up and stepped in it.
Your dad?
My father-in-law,
Oh, okay.
and he
He got knocked out, didn't he?
When did this happen?
about 2 years ago.
Oh, okay. This is
And
not new news. Okay.
there was so contractors were using the scuttle hole to do some wiring down below, and they had a 5-gallon bucket turned upside down as a step. So they put their feet in the hole and they step on the bucket,
That looks
and then they start crawling. So he
This sounds
falls in
painful.
there. Oh, dude, he was contorted. So he bent backwards and he was just all fucked up and passed out. So
Oh.
and he was just jacked up. He was jacked up. Well, the cool thing is those watches do work. So it sent a barrage of text messages out,
No way.
and it called 911.
Yeah.
Everything happened.
But you were all
instantaneously.
there, of course.
No, we weren't there.
Oh, he was by himself?
No, he was with the client.
Oh, no.
And the thing that the way the watch works is, like if he slips up, because there are false triggers every now and then,
Oh, of
right?
course.
Like
I would
he
imagine so.
stumbles and he hits the wall.
Yeah, it's not an exact science, right?
It'll go off and it'll say you have 15 seconds to say I'm okay. It'll count down. I'm okay. Boom, it's done.
Right.
But if you're laying there and you don't hit the I'm okay, that's when it goes doot and it goes into business. And
Brilliant. I love
It
it.
calls 911. I also entered his health information, so that'll get sent to the first responders. It'll tell him what medicine he's on.
Okay.
So we sat there and went through his medicines, and I typed them all in there.
Damn, that's awesome.
So they know what he's on. Know he, I think he had a heart attack, so they're aware of that. His height and his weight and shit like that, right?
Yeah, that's
So,
great. Talk about peace of mind. That's great.
Yeah, so
Especially, like you said, if he lives alone, man. That's,
Right.
that's huge.
well, that was one of his big concerns because, like I said, well, this is before the heart attack. He was healthy, right?
Right.
He wasn't really having much trouble, and then he had that heart attack. Yeah, I think he did it on his own when he was shoveling 3 feet of snow at
Yeah, I
age of
know.
80. But
He had a mortal moment.
yeah, he did something he shouldn't have. Just like we're kind of reaching the age where, like, yeah, I shouldn't do that anymore,
Right.
right?
A lot of things.
Yeah, a lot of things. You're learning what you can and can't do. So anyway, so we got that, and have him all set up, and he's wearing it as far as I know. I tell him, I was like, put it in your bathroom so you put your watch on every night. You could wear it at night if you want. Just you charge it. It lasts a couple of days, 2-3 days or whatever it does.
Sure.
And
No, that's very cool.
yeah, so he's all set with that. And now, if I get a text, I'm not going to be able to do anything, obviously, from out here. But
Right.
at least I'll know something would have
Yeah,
happened.
no. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
I mean, I
Probably need to
I
get ahead
feel
of
that
that
way
too. If it does go off, I mean, do you have an emergency plan? How to get out there?
Well, I need my sister to see if she can't reach out to some of the neighbors
That would be good.
to get some contact information, right?
I mean, is he so remote that like an ambulance getting there or a cop checking on
there's
him?
actually a hospital just a couple miles from him.
Okay, well that's good too.
Yeah, so he's not real far, so it wouldn't take long. I don't know where the fire department is in relation to where he is. That's usually where the ambulances come from.
Right.
But I know the hospital's
it's not
close.
a densely populated area, but it still has all the city.
Yeah. It's not
Functions.
It's not like out.
Yeah,
in the middle of nowhere.
everyone in his neighborhoody area is either 2, 5, or 10 acres.
Right.
So,
So it just makes it look like it's very remote,
correct.
but it's not really all
Right.
that remote. I got you.
Right. Yeah, he's close. He's within about 3 miles of a Walmart.
Mm-hmm.
But it's down there. You can't see it. It's so he's like, it looks like he's out in the country. Kind
Yeah,
of.
yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean, we're all kind of getting there, guys. I mean, my parents live out in Tucson, and they have caregivers during the day because my mom's, non-mobile, non-verbal. But at night, when they're gone, I mean, there's a good stretch of time when he's by himself. And if she slips off the bed or something, he can't get her up, right?
Right.
So he sends out a text, right, to the group, to all the siblings. And there's only one that lives in Tucson that can help. But, so, I mean, we're kind of
Do you give him a hard time a lot?
Do I give him a hard time?
Do you give your sibling a hard time, the one the person that lives there that isn't as proactive as you guys would like?
No, I mean, not, I have my frustration that I keep to myself, or maybe I kind of vent to my wife every once in a while, because here's the thing. When you're, I don't know how many miles away we are, but my sister's even worse. She's out on the East Coast. You feel helpless.
Right.
And you have this, at least I have this opinion that if I were there in town, I would be, spending more time, right? I would be visiting and doing, but you know what? But that's me. That's not him.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, I don't know. He's busy. I know he's always been busy. He does not make it a priority. I think that's pretty safe to say. And that's frustrating. It is. But no, I've never like kind of, called him out on it or called, just made it an awkward situation, But the good thing is my father has agreed to move to Texas.
Outstanding.
Yeah. He's
down there in Houston?
Near College Station.
Because your brother has that house, right?
That's right. So my parents, in the first week of August, are going to move in with them. So now we're making arrangements to get a wheelchair van, to figure out what he needs to take with him, all the logistics, right?
Well, I think that's outstanding, though, because they've been by your one brother, right, in Tucson for however many years. Now it's like, all right, let's go live with someone else, one of my other kids, and my other son is not too far away, and we'll see them.
That's right. I'm only 3 hours away, and now he's going to have time to spend with his grandkids.
Right.
And he's going to have company 24/7 and care 24/7.
Did he have to think about it? Or did you?
Oh, it was a hard sell.
I was going to say, or did you have to sell it to him?
Oh, he was like, when I first brought it up, and I was like, Dad, I just want you to think about it, And then I called back right after that because there was something else I needed to tell him, and he started like, you want me to leave my whole house? I mean, he started like kind of unloading on me. And I was like, no, Dad, no. You need to think about that some more. We're not talking about that right now. By the way, on this other thing, I tried to change the subject as quick as possible because he was melting down, right? And then we had some more conversations, and he was, again, frustrated, didn't want to do that. This is his home. I get it.
I get that, yeah.
100%. He's like, well, I'm just going to leave this house, empty. I was like, we'll figure out.
It's great that they've got the financial support.
Isn't
to be
it
able to
wonderful?
do some of this stuff.
Yep, that's huge. I mean, that they can afford to pay caregivers, during the day and not have to already have moved into a nursing home or assisted living, right? But then also now he's just going to pay my brother, right? So he's going to kind of put his practice on hold, and they're going to focus 24/7 full time on caring for my parents, which I think is very admirable.
It is.
There's not a lot of people would do that. Keep in mind, it's like toileting and showering, and I mean.
Well, your dad could probably take care of himself.
Yeah, but quickly fading.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and that's part of the problem. He's not thinking about his care. He's obsessed with making sure my mom's okay, which is great, right? That's what the husband of 60 years is supposed to do.
Right.
Good Lord.
Right? But he needs care too. Like right now, he's got a cancerous, spot on his face that he's going to have taken off. I was like, why'd you let it go this long? Every time I'm FaceTime with him, I'm like, what is that? That looks horrible.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he's like, oh, it's nothing. I scratched it. I was like, Dad, no, I'm making an appointment. That's the kind of stuff I get frustrated about.
Right.
Like, had I been there and lived there and seen him every day or every other day, I'd have been like, that's not good. I'm taking you to the doctor, first appointment. But here I am in Dallas calling the doctor's office, saying, what time do you have an appointment? Okay, Dad, let me call you back and see if that works for my dad. Can somebody take him to the doctor? You know what I mean?
Right.
You know how frustrating all that is? Anyway.
Yeah. So anyway, we're out there seeing my dad and spent some really good time. It's beautiful out there where he's at. And got him hooked up. And that was my main goal, to get him hooked up with all that stuff.
Yeah.
And then after that, my wife and I drove over the mountains and went to Napa Valley.
Napa.
Yeah.
That's they do something there. What do they do in Napa?
They grow some grapes.
Grapes.
I thought they sold oil.
Yeah,
oil and grapes.
It's a bunch of oil fields.
Oh, nice. Like fossil fuels.
Yes. No. So anyway, we went over there. We stayed in actually Calistoga, which is because you have Napa down at the bottom, which is a bigger city. Looks like any other city, right? Just big.
So I've never been there. So is it literally just small town, vineyards, small town, vineyards?
100% yes.
Okay, so that's basically it.
You got mountains on one side, mountains on the other side.
And it's beautiful.
Oh, yeah.
And you have a million wineries to go to and basically sip until you get drunk.
Yep. And it's beautiful. And tell you what, though, it's like I said, we stayed in Calistoga. I'd recommend staying because you have St. Helena, which is really nice.
Okay.
Then you have Rutherford, Calistoga. There's another one in there somewhere as well. We stayed at Calistoga, and it's just a small little town.
So does it remind you of like old European towns, like where everything's old and kind of?
No, it's kind of McKinney, downtown McKinney-ish type of
so
downtown.
It's all fairly newer stuff.
Well, 50s or whatever the hell was, that type of stuff, right? But you got the main strip with the stores and the little boutiques.
Very nice.
Restaurants and stuff like that. At least you did Calistoga. And
it was just the two of you, right?
Just two of us, and we stayed in we had some cabin.
And you took turns kind of holding each other up.
We never got shit-faced.
You didn't?
No, it'd be too expensive because that's what I'm saying is Napa, when we went for our 8th anniversary back in 2005 or 6.
To Napa?
To Napa.
Oh, so this is the second time you've gone.
Second time I've been.
Nice.
And back then, this was before the whole stupid COVID and the lockdowns and California being idiots, basically.
Oh, yeah.
So once they reopened, it cost a shit ton of money to do anything out there. Before, I could just show
they're trying
up.
to make up for all the money they lost?
Well, it's all these new regulations and bullshit.
Oh, I see.
Right.
Only one person at a time inside of this room.
Well, it's to control, and I think there's
all kinds of extra stuff that they're charging now.
Yeah, I think it's just a way for the state to
make more money,
control shit. Anyway,
so they can pay for all those crack pipes.
Yeah. So at every winery, you just can't walk up like we did back in 2005 and go, I want to taste these 4, 5, 6 wines or whatever. Mm-hmm. You go now, and you have to make reservations. Say on this day at 2:00, I want.
Still?
Yes.
And
I don't think it's going anywhere.
And they blame COVID for that?
Well, that's when it started, right?
And they just kept it that way.
And it is still there, right? So, so now minimum is $50 a person, going up to $150, $300 a person, depending on the winery and the experience.
Wow.
So you really have to choose and pick which ones you want to go to. So we went to...
I mean, otherwise you're talking about thousands and thousands of dollars, man. It adds up quick.
Oh, yeah. Then you're like, well, I want to buy a bottle of wine. I want to do this. And we did that. And,
$500?
No, it wasn't that much. But, if you buy a couple bottles, a $50 bottle of wine, you ship them back. And shit like that. So, but it's... And the restaurants are just stupid expensive. There is no fast food.
Right.
Or anything like that. There's no inexpensive eateries out there. At least that I've found. Everything is, you're gonna be over $100 a meal,
right?
For each meal,
just for two of you.
Yeah, and
it's frustrating.
And it was beautiful.
You know what that
it's
does,
nice.
Though? The sad thing about that is it truly, it makes it to where if you don't have a very solid, economic situation,
you couldn't do it.
How much of the country is completely shut out of that place?
Well, it's 60 miles from San Francisco.
Right.
So there's a lot of wealthy folks that live out there.
Right. No, but I'm saying, how many, the average American probably couldn't afford to fly out to Napa Valley and stay there for a week.
Well, no, I know it took me a long time I went to a shit ton of wineries online.
Right.
Pricing them, costing them out.
To make it cost effective.
Yeah, so I was like, I really want to go to this one. It's in the mountains. There's caves. I was like, but it's $150 a person.
Damn.
That's $300 just for this one place.
And how long are you there?
It's about an hour and a half.
You're there for an hour and a half, and it's $150 a person.
A person.
And then you're going to hit somewhere else that same day.
Yeah, if you do 2 or 3 of those a day.
There you go. You're talking about $800 a day.
Yeah.
Not counting the hotel. Yep. Not counting meals.
Right.
Well, maybe counting meals.
So anyway, I searched around. We went to a couple of the ones that we liked, and I found some for. I found a couple for $50, which every experience was great. So I recommend. I know you're not in the wine, Paul, but it's one of those things.
Oh, it would still be a very fun experience.
Yeah, go do it at least. Try to at least once, right?
Sure.
It's interesting to see all these wineries, the wines you see in the store. We're like, oh, that's where it is.
And it puts a location to
right.
Yeah.
And some of the stories.
Well, that's kind of the same thing about the Bourbon Trail.
Right.
Like when I look at Wild Turkey, I was like, man, I've been in that place where they make it. It's cool.
Right.
And what were you going to say?
And some of the stories and how some of these people start, like the people that were there back in when Napa started, like Mondavi, I think, was one of the first ones. And he's got a huge facility out there.
Okay.
Behringer is another one. We didn't go into those. But, there's a winery out there my wife likes called Cake Bread. And this guy was a mechanic.
Oh, wow.
And he was a mechanic in Rutherford or wherever it was located. And he used to be friends with people that owned this ranch. It was a cattle ranch at the time.
Okay.
And they got to the point where they're old, and he was kind of joking. He goes, how much do you want for your ranch? And they're like, well, we're not selling. So he's like, all right. So he drove home down to San Francisco where he lived, and his wife goes, what did you do? And so he goes, well, so-and-so just called and says they accepted your offer to sell us their ranch.
Like in the drive home, they thought about it?
Yes, and called his wife and says, we'll do it. He's like, well, I didn't offer. I didn't expect it right then.
Oh, shit.
So he worked something out, and it was cheap. It was like $40,000 or something like that. For
back in the day.
Back in the day, and the old folks stayed there, and then Mondavi came down and said, and Cake Bread's the guy's last name. I don't remember what his first name was. And he goes, hey, Joe, you need to open up a winery. I'll help you out. I'll
help you out.
Here are some vines.
That is a huge part of the story right there.
Yeah.
I will help you out.
Here are some vines.
Let's do this.
This is how you should do it.
Unfucking believable.
And
now he's worth hundreds of millions.
Oh, yeah, hundreds of millions of dollars.
That's unbelievable.
And the guy's still alive. And the guy's still alive. He's like 90 or something like that, right?
That's awesome.
Yeah. And it's very technical and science-based, the whole winery, because when we were doing the tour, the guy's like, yeah, we thought we were smart because we were doing all our, I think it was Chardonnay, because you grow certain grapes, certain areas in Napa because the climate, or there's microclimates all the way throughout.
Oh, wow.
This type of grape grows here
on
across
this
the strait.
Side, yeah.
It won't grow as well.
Unbelievable.
And he goes, yeah, well, we thought we were smart because we're going to do it east to west so the sun gets it. Well, what we didn't realize is the sun at 4 o'clock is hotter than it is at 1 o'clock.
Oh, right.
So the grapes on one side were different than the grapes on the other side of the same strip.
Yep, of the same line.
So they're like, what we figured out is on the new planting, we're rotating at 5 degrees or something like that.
Unbelievable.
So they're doing it's just
for the path of the sun.
For the path of the sun.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, there's so much that goes into that. I mean, and spirits.
Oh yeah.
And
lots
bourbon,
of science,
temperature,
technology,
and this and that, and
yeah.
These guys. I mean, it's a fine art, and they're dedicating their whole lives to it.
Yeah.
Which is super cool. And that's why when they have master distiller by their name, or master brewer,
right,
or what do they call those people out in Napa? Like,
it's a winemaker, right?
Right, master winemaker. I don't know. Anyway, I mean, there's a lot of
same thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of shit that goes into that, man.
Yeah. So under schools, that UC Davis has winemaking schools,
right?
So if you want to work for a winery, you go down there. And the people that do the tastings and the tours have been in the industry for decades,
right?
The guy Caper is like, yeah, I worked at I can't remember the place of it, but it may have been Mondavi or something like that. He goes, yeah, I was working down there, and I was a cooperage. So when the barrels came in, it was my job to inspect them all, to make sure they were all good to go and smelled correct and all this stuff. And he goes, and I moved on to this where I checked the alcohol content. He knew the entire process.
Oh yeah.
And now he gives tours of Cake Bread.
And he's like an old.
He's like our age.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
So
that's good stuff.
Yeah.
So this upcoming event coming this Friday, 1845, I booked 3 slots for the Dudes on Gus. Do I need to go to 4th?
For Friday?
Friday
they're only
or
open
Saturday?
on Saturdays. Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like fun.
Well, I booked it for 2 because that's the only slot that's available. Well,
Okay.
unless we do later, but I've already booked it. So
No. 2's good.
All right,
Two's
so
good.
I have 3 spots. Do you want me to get a 4th?
So, where did you go when you were mocking me with pictures while I was in Colorado?
Well, it's funny you should ask that.
So you didn't go to 1845?
Yes, we did.
Oh, and it was so much fun. You want to go again?
well,
Or do you feel so immensely guilty
Yes.
that you went without me that you're like,
I
fuck,
don't think that's
we got to
what
go
it is.
again because Paul's bitching about it.
Yes.
Well, I don't-
Okay, so it was the latter.
I didn't really hear you bitch about it.
Oh, well, my feelings were hurted.
You made one comment. You were like, "Neat."
And then I made like the stiffest bourbon and Coke I could, and I sat out on the deck
No,
and just
and you
No,
wept?
then you drank 2 Modelo's, and I showed Jeff the picture, and you know what he says? Weak.
no, that's what you said.
I typed what he said.
I don't know what he's talking about.
Yeah, but you were supposed to look at the background. There was like this beautiful.
I thought it was
mountainous
wonderful. I
background.
was going to chime in something, just royal. Just and
What did I say? I
What I'm
think
trying to
I
think.
said I'm enjoying the number one selling beer in America.
Yes. Yes. But yeah, though, the 1845 is cool. It's, 25 minutes from here?
Yeah, let's do it. I'm
so
excited.
you get there, and they first of all, it's not just a bourbon place. They have they do wine as well.
Which
you know.
it's not.
I didn't like the wine.
It's not real good. It's unoaked.
Yeah,
So they don't put their wine in barrels right now.
yeah. So it's
well, and they probably it doesn't grow that great here.
No, there's certain.
Where are their vineyards?
They get Lubbock.
Okay, because I know Fredericksburg has a lot of wineries
Well, they grow theirs in Lubbock as
in
well.
the hill country. Oh, okay.
So a lot of the wines,
but like you said,
wineries are in
they're,
Lubbock.
They're missing. So when I taste wine, and I'm not a sommelier by any means, but I've tasted a lot of wine.
Okay.
I don't like it. It's missing that.
Oh,
And
their
like
wine.
you said,
It was
yeah.
unoaked. It was straight out of the stainless steel tank.
Yeah.
Okay, no aging.
Yeah.
Well,
so
I don't know. No, it's not an aged in any
But that-
barrels.
that was
you
one
age it in stainless
aspect of it.
stainless barrels.
they
like I
also
do
had
like.
the bourbon side of it. So we got with this old dude, but he looks so
He's
familiar.
the owner.
Yeah. Well, the old dude, the owner. So he and he had fallen down the week prior, 2
Oh,
weeks
no.
prior. Yeah, he was all banged up and knot on his forehead. He said, "I fell down." Yeah, he sounded like Hank Hill.
Oh, yeah, he
Apparently.
was beat up good. He had a big old egg.
Oh,
that
it's
was
big
kinda
egg.
Man, that
split open.
sucks.
He was like, "Oh, damn it, Bobby! I just fell down in the woods over here trying to."
Yeah,
But he's like, "I got out of doing the lawn though. He's
Yeah.
about to go out there and do some yard work, so I got out of that."
Yeah.
Yeah, but he was
face
kind of
planted.
cool. I mean, he was knowledgeable. He explained a lot of things that I didn't understand.
Oh, there's a ton of details we don't know.
So I
Right?
mean, they touched up on 2 from the charring aspect. You know, they've got ranges between 1 and 4. You know, and he basically let us taste between 2 and 3.
Oh, wow.
Correct.
So he
Same mash bill, same age, same everything.
Yeah,
And it was a
same
noticeable
everything.
difference?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Oh, how cool
totally.
is that?
So he was kind of like, well, you know what? The number 2 will have hints of more of a nutty cinnamon kind of flavor, and then the 3 would have like more caramels, more stone fruit,
Marshmallows.
toasted marshmallow. You know,
Okay.
and it's you go up there and taste it, like, oh my god, that does. I totally taste all that stuff, and it's the oak.
That's amazing because, and then you have to think about they buy these barrels, right? So they have to ask for them to be whatever
they
char.
buy everything at
Yeah.
they buy all of them at 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
All their
So
barrels
they're-
are 3.
But he was mentioning something that I don't want to say I was concerned. It wasn't a matter of being concerned. It was just kind of lit my attention. And so where did they buy these barrels? So you got barrels all over the planet, but I mean typically they go buy American oak.
Yeah,
And that's
white-
what they
white
use,
American oak.
white oak. But they are procuring
French.
some European. I thought it was German, but it
doesn't
doesn't
matter.
European style of oak. And I asked him about that. I was like, well, you know, it's a different species of wood. I mean, it's technically oak, but it's different.
Is he calling it a bourbon?
Let's look.
It is, and I don't know if that's necessarily true. Maybe it'd be bottle and bonded, but
No, the bottom. No.
but to be a bourbon, he said we put it in oak, but the thing is, they're buying it from over in Europe.
Yeah.
And he was talking about the species of wood. He finally said, yeah, the species of wood, the oak that they're getting from Europe is more dense than that of the oaks that we get here in the United States. And he says they come from these oaks are proven. Now they use them in building, they use them in all kinds of stuff. They're just a different animal. They've been cultivated over there to get strong. And
yeah, but you don't want it to be. You want it to be porous.
Well,
that's
all right,
what.
So it says bourbon has to be put into new charred oak barrels.
Period. Not
Doesn't
white.
have to be American.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be white.
But my point
White
is,
oak.
and to what he said was, he's like, yes, you're right. The American oak has a tendency to be more porous, and the bourbon that's in there doesn't have to stay as long to soak up some of the flavors
And the color.
and the color. However, the other ones you might have to leave in a little bit longer.
Oh, so he's saying he can get color and flavor in a shorter time period,
Correct. Yep.
which seems unusual because it's not as porous. But hey,
Well, it's not as porous, so it takes longer for it to
that's what I'm saying. So
to get its flavors.
if it's porous, like the white American, then you'll get that flavor and color in a shorter time period.
correct.
But if it's harder, which is what he said, I
Yeah.
thought you were in
It'll
Germany
take
or whatever,
longer.
Yeah, it'll take
it
longer.
would take longer to get that. So
Correct.
I'm surprised that, and maybe it's a supply thing for him.
Well, and that's
I
why I
can't
brought
remember.
up.
I
and
think
might
it
be
was.
and it might be a taste. I mean, it might be a taste
It
thing.
could be lots of things.
Could
but,
be lots of things. Yeah.
He buys a lot of. He's got a lot of fantastic equipment in there. He hasn't installed yet.
Oh,
but it's
yeah.
really
They-
cool
they-
looking.
I mean,
Dump
did you
them.
ask him why he went with those barrels?
They said they were trying them out.
Oh, okay.
Because it's about finding barrels. He went through the whole spiel about where do we get our barrels in
Missouri, right?
And yeah, that was the traditional one. But he's trying to try something new. First of all, their bourbon,
he might stumble on something unique, right?
their bourbon scored 3 in the world.
At this last San Francisco, he'll tell
Yeah.
us about it on Saturday.
So
It
that says a lot.
yeah.
Oh wow.
3, for the best bourbon in the world to San Francisco, which is one of the
Damn.
main ones. The top 3. So it was a Heaven's Hill 15-year,
Yeah.
a Old Forester 12-year or something
Yeah.
like that, and then them.
Yeah.
For 2 months, aged 2 months.
No, it's 3 years.
Oh.
Aged 3 years.
Yeah.
Kidding.
And
So,
they
I mean,
beat
and
out.
did you guys think so?
It was
I thought
good.
it tasted good. Yeah, all of it tasted good. It
It was good.
It wasn't
What
like
proof?
Williams proof.
100.
Williamsburg.
100 and 117.
They had they were 100, 100, and
117.
116, 15, 17. It's variable.
So they had like 3 or 4 bourbons.
They had 4.
4.
4. Okay.
They had a
Well,
standard.
I would be excited to go out there.
They had a standard. They had a weeded. Then they had a standard bourbon. The cask strength, right? Oh no,
That's
no, it
what
wasn't
you
cask
get. It was
strength.
a 4
standard.
grain cast strength.
Well, then they had the 4 grain, and then
Or was it a single barrel? I don't know. They got 4.
That's
they had
great.
a weeded one,
And what's the price point?
$62 and $68.
Well, not horrible. We're
Uh,
about right in the middle
I
of,
think yours was 68
yeah.
plus tax.
right? I
Yeah,
mean,
it
isn't
was
that
like-
kind of right in the middle of the?
I walked
of the
out at
pack,
76
maybe,
bucks,
price-wise?
and I got the bottle at the house, and I'm skeptical on whether we want to open that or not. I'm thinking I don't want to open it unless I get a backup.
Well, we could go there anytime about another one.
Yeah, that's the
They
easiest
don't
one
sell-
to
they-
buy.
We're going there Saturday.
Yeah, they don't sell them in retail.
No, they don't. That's my point.
Well, they don't sell them in retail.
Only on property.
You have to go out there.
Yeah, they don't have that much. Paul, you walk in there, and it is a 75-foot by 125-foot metal building, and they have racks set up 4 tall, 6 and 6. So that's 12. That's 48 barrels
Oh, so all the barrels are right there on site?
Yes.
right there. So they got
Dude,
48.
it's like a micro distillery.
Correct.
Yeah, so they got 48 per stack, and they had probably 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, maybe 10, maybe 12, 10, 12 stacks maybe
Wow.
of 48. So 12 times 48.
It's almost like every time they pull them out, it's like limited release. You know what I
Almost,
mean?
and they're making some limited release stuff because they are going to double oak one barrel,
I love double oak stuff.
and it's going to be a limited release.
So I didn't really know what double oak was until he had brought that up, and it's interesting. It's just like they take oak and they soak it for a period of time, and they take it out of that oak barrel and they put it back into a brand new barrel. And that's a double oak. I never knew that.
Well, and you remember when we...
They only keep it the second for like a month or 2 months, they said.
I mean, when you first put it into the barrel is when it's like, bam. You know what I mean? That's when... because the barrels get used up. They can't do anything more, right? I mean, in terms of color and flavor and being permeated, right?
Right.
So, but when you first put it in there is when, so that makes sense.
They're also
putting it in there twice.
They're also putting their Cabernet into their used bourbon barrels.
Right.
And when they pull that out, they're going to stick bourbon in that one.
Oh, okay.
So it'll be a Cabernet finished bourbon.
Interesting. I bet you that would taste good.
So that's going to be another limited release. I need to get on their email list because they'll email and say, hey,
this is what's coming out.
This is, yeah, exactly.
You didn't fill out one of those cards?
Actually, I did.
How often are they, what do you call it, when they tap the kegs or tap the barrels?
I don't know if he ever said.
I wonder how often. Well, I wanted to know what the term is. There's obviously a term for when they're going to do that. What do you think is normal for even the big ones? Daily? I mean, they rotate,
Probably.
They know where they're pulling. And
they have thousands of barrels.
Thousands. They have 1,000 rick houses.
Yeah.
Actually, they did have other buildings. I wonder if there were more barrels in some of those other buildings.
That,
I don't know.
it would be surprising to me if they didn't have at least one offsite, rick house.
But what was interesting is he brought up the climate. He brought up the climate, the humidity. He brought up the fact that there's a bunch of pecan trees around there and how the pecan trees are having an influence on the
flavor.
The weather,
evaporation, and it being able to. So when the Angel's Envy Devil's Cut, okay, so when the bourbon is in the barrel, it starts to evaporate. That is the Devil's Cut.
That
takes
Angel's
it away.
Share.
Angel's Share.
Mm-hmm.
And then what's left there? The Devil's Cut? Angel's Share? What's going on there?
I don't.
I thought the Devil's Cut is what was taken away from the devil. And what's left is the Angel's Share.
No, so when I was in the Wild Turkey tour,
they
said the barrels, and it's not all the barrels, but it's that the barrels, there are barrels at the top of the rickhouse that are more susceptible to,
evaporation
than the others. And then they say, they lose more of the barrel than the other ones, and they call that the Angel's Share.
What he was bringing up, which was odd, and I still don't understand how it happens, but what he says that sometimes, he said, first of all, it's variable. You never know what's going to happen.
Right.
He said that you can anticipate, but most of the time it's right, but you never really know. But what he said is they're finding a trend where when you will fill up the barrel of 55 gallons, and when they release it, it loses 12%.
It was more than that.
Yeah, it was a lot. But what he was saying is that it's very rare that when you put bourbon into the barrel, it comes out at a lower proof than when you put it in.
Theirs does, though.
He says on a few barrels it has.
Yeah, theirs does because of the humidity, he said.
He said it was attributable to the humidity in the pecan trees.
Right.
Which is interesting.
Where it lowers the proof.
That's what he was
saying.
saying.
So typically the water evaporates out.
Right.
So which makes it more concentrated in the alcohol.
That's right.
Stronger. So,
but if there's moisture seeping in.
But if there's more humidity, it's less water coming out and more alcohol evaporating instead.
Okay.
Yeah, because maybe that humidity is replenishing the
I don't know.
The lost. Yeah, the lost.
I don't know, man. But it was an interesting
concept.
But
the point is, it is a science, and it's trial and error. And like you said, you never know. I mean,
the equipment that they have
kind of do.
If
you've been doing it for 10, 20 years, you kind of do know what's going to happen because you've seen every pattern scenario. You've been tracking the weather. You know how humid it was during the last year. I mean, they track all that so that they know, so that they can have an expected outcome of their barrels.
What was interesting is they still have their first barrel that they dumped into.
Oh,
barrel
nice.
number one.
Their infinity barrel.
Well, it's barrel one. They filled it, and it's still there. And he goes, "We're going to let it sit here for 10 years." He goes, "In Texas, we don't know if you can age something 10 years in Texas."
And this is a good way to find out.
He goes, "It may be crap."
So they normally age it for 3 years. That's it.
Right now, it's 3 years. He goes, "We're going to do 4." Right. So the next, obviously, it's getting older and older. Right.
Yeah.
So, but he says that they want to get their first barrel to at least 10 years old.
That's so cool. And that would be a limited release right there for sure.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be so cool. You
I
probably
think
have to sign up now
Right.
to have a bottle of that.
Right.
And what is it, 55 gallons in a barrel? Is that right?
Yeah, but it evaporates quite a bit.
Yeah. I wonder how many, 350 milliliter bottles they get out of that barrel.
I didn't see any 350s out there. They had all 750s.
I meant 750, sorry. Yeah, 350 would suck.
Yeah.
No, 750.
All right, so you're asking how many 750 milliliters can get out of a 55-gallon?
Is it 55 gallon?
It's a 55-gallon barrel when it starts. And I guess we got to Google that first. Is how much does
In general, how many? 750.
Well, 55 gallons equals how many milliliters?
I would just ask, how many bottles do they get out of a bourbon barrel? That way we're not doing the guesswork of what kind of barrel and this and that.
Right, because hopefully that takes into account evaporation, right? Because you're not going to get 55 gallons back out of it unless you add water to it.
Yep, exactly.
Right. So what's the average? It's a 53 gallon. What is the yield on a bourbon barrel?
There
200 bottles, 150 to 200 bottles.
150 to 200 bottles, and that's assuming 750 milliliters, I would imagine.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
Angel's Envy. All right, so
Well, that's a bourbon. Angel's Share is what you're thinking of. right?
Yeah, Angel's Envy is the distiller. Angel's Share is what they call what evaporates up into the heavens.
all right. So what's the Devil's Cut?
I don't know. Let's look that up.
This is Jim Beam.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, Jim Beam is a Devil's Cut. Mila Kunis had that commercial, I think.
I know. Of all actresses, she's like a very sultry. She's like perfect for like a bourbon advertisement.
Right.
Let's see here. Trapped deep inside the wood. Ooh.
After aging the bourbon, when the bourbon is dumped out of the barrel, some liquid stays trapped deep inside the wood. This is the Devil's Cut.
So they squeeze the wood.
Angel
Oh,
Share
kinda
and
like
Devil's Cut. We've made history by extracting it.
Well, I wonder how many folks do that. Jim Beam obviously does, but I wonder how many people extract the wood juice.
Dude, what kind of fucking press are they using? One of those super hydraulic ones?
Yeah, I wonder how they do it. That's interesting.
I don't know.
Well, they have those hydraulic presses that.
I've
Well,
tried the Devil's Cut.
Well, even like olive oil, for example. I mean, you have virgin, extra virgin, exquisitely virgin.
There you go.
Hyman olive oil.
Hymen cut.
I'm pretty sure I've tried Devil's Cut. I guess I don't know.
I've tried the
actually.
mini.
Speaking of Devil's Cut, have you
Oh, the
guys
mini.
heard that movie that Mel Gibson put out, the Freedom of...
That's not Mel Gibson.
Um,
Sound of Freedom is not.
Sound of Freedom.
Who
Yes.
is it?
That's Jim Caviezel.
All right, which one did Mel Gibson do?
Mel Gibson has one coming out about Hollywood pedophilia.
Yeah, well,
Oh.
was the Sound of Freedom...
Well, that's gotta make
was
people
that
nervous.
pedophilia as well?
No, that's sex trafficking. So, yes, sort of. But it's about child sex trafficking. It's
Yeah.
different than the
and
one
it's
Mel
doing
Gibson
well,
came out.
apparently.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, what's interesting is it is doing well, but there are no movie critics wanting to weigh in on it for some reason.
Well, well, I think they're trashing it.
Yeah. Well,
I don't
Are
understand
you
why.
saying there are some people that don't want to even talk about it?
if it doesn't, there could be a conspiracy out there where they don't want it to exist, or maybe there's some higher powers out there in the media, but like, yeah, we're not going to report on that.
Yeah. So okay,
There's
so
nothing there.
Here's,
Nothing to see
here's
here.
my take. All right. So this human trafficking, child trafficking, is a result of a porous, open border with, what do they call them, wolves? No, what do they call the human
Coyotes.
smugglers?
Coyotes.
Coyotes.
But it's
They
not
call
just
them
here.
coyotes,
It's all
and-
over the planet.
Well, yes, but I mean, in our particular situation that's become very political, it is having to do with the open borders. Okay, so nobody wants to hear that there's negative consequences or, negative implications to having this open border, so they want to turn a blind eye to it. And in my opinion, this is a casualty. They know it's happening, but it's a casualty of what their bigger goal is, again, which is allow millions of people over, give them amnesty, let them vote, and they'll be voting Democrat for life. So this is all a grand scheme to keep Democrats or liberals in power
At the sake of our children.
And yes, this is an unfortunate. This is they're going to turn a blind eye to this, and they don't want anybody to.
It's a simple side effect of them opening the borders or having our children just mauled and abused.
Yep, and I'm sure this is going to get flagged for misinformation, but that's exactly what's happening. Human smuggling is happening. Child sex slaves is happening, and we're not really doing anything to stop it. I mean, you can add all the other stuff, fentanyl and this and that, and hell, terrorists flowing over the border, Chinese nationals flowing over the border. I mean, all of that they're turning a blind eye to because this ultimately keeps them in power. And then they can truly do all the ideological things that they've been wanting to do forever. Every liberal bucket list item, right? So, anyway, that's my take. I do want to go see it. I mean, obviously, it's not going to be like an uplifting movie, but apparently it knocked the woke Indiana Jones out of first place. Is that right?
Was it woke?
Yes, it did.
Apparently it's very woke. But you know what? People have said that before. There was a Star Wars movie that they were like, oh, my God, the robot woman is so woke and blah, 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 blah. So I went into it going...
Well, that was on the Solo
yeah,
movie
but even when I watched it, it was like, not that bad. I was like, really?
Yeah, but it was... Look, it was bigger than that. It was the whole... they're trying to keep us oppressed. And obviously she sounded black.
Right.
And obviously she had a big butt and all the traditional... it was bad taste.
Unnecessary.
I don't think it's necessarily that Indiana Jones is woke. It was unneeded. The girl they have in it is highly annoying, from what I understand.
Okay.
And it's basically they've made her the heroine action star, and Indiana Jones is an old beat down man.
Oh, cool. Well, he kind of is an old beat down man, so he really shouldn't have been.
Well,
doing
he's
any more
divorced,
movies.
living on his own.
Really?
Yes.
Oh God.
2 weeks from retirement.
He lives in the forest?
No, he lives on his own.
Oh.
Divorced, I said.
Oh, divorced. I think he said he lives in a forest and lives on his
So
own.
he's not with Maggie or whatever her name
No,
is?
they're divorced and doesn't speak to his son, and so it's basically one of a lot of people's childhood memories as a stud is this beaten down, sorry excuse for a man, white man. At
That's great.
And then along comes this highly annoying lady. I haven't seen it, so I don't. This is just what I'm hearing, that she is just over the top annoying
In the movie, yeah.
And apparently, I saw a video where she had like 4 Disney movies lined up. I guess they've yanked her out of all those because of how bad Indiana Jones has done.
Wow,
hey, man, what comes around goes around.
Yep.
That's
She was going to be into a Star Wars, 1 or 2 Star Wars things.
she was supposed to be the next up and comer,
Yeah,
but because it is doing poorly, right?
yeah.
Well, I mean, the opening weekend was 11.7 million, over 11 million for
That's July
Indiana
4th.
Jones.
That's terrible.
Which is right in the heat of summer. Are you kidding me? That's like perfect. I mean, usually the big summer blockbusters are like.
Well, I think that this
That's-
weekend you'll see, because this is the Mission Impossible weekend.
Oh,
We'll see what
that's
it
going
does.
to go nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, we'll see.
You know why? Because Tom Cruise is a likable guy, and he works hard, and his movies are the shit. They're good movies.
They are.
They really are, and he does all of his own fucking stunts. I mean, the guy's a stud, man. He really is.
I
know
think-
he's weird. He's got his weird things, right? We've all talked about that before, and his whole what's the religious bullshit, Scientology, and all that kind of weirdness. But I mean, you can't fault the guy for being an amazing entertainer. I mean, you can't deny
the latest Top
Let me
Gun
put it
was
this way: you
was
can't deny that
entertaining.
he
It was full of energy throughout the whole thing, and
Yeah.
as much as I want to beat it up a little bit, I mean, it was fun. It
Yeah,
was
he's
an
entertaining,
amusement
man.
park ride.
Yeah, I'll go see it. My wife won't go see it. She doesn't like Tom Cruise. But
when does it open?
This
This
weekend? Yeah,
Friday.
Thursday evening. Yeah, it's usually that midnight show is the first one on.
So we're going.
12th.
We're going to midnight on Thursday.
Midnight Thursday. Yeah, that's
All
when
right.
the boys and the kids go.
I know.
It's that first showing.
I would be like asleep at 12:10.
I know.
For sure.
I'd be like, "Oh, I'm so ready for this guy. This is so good." Paul,
It's
wake
probably a
up.
good 2.5 hours too. You know.
Wake up! The credits and the what do you call it? The previews are almost done. What time is it?
Well, I watched a little video. You guys may have seen it as well. The stunt that he does in this one, where he rides the bike over the cliff.
Yes.
I watched it where he practiced to do that. So he did 15,000 ramp jumps and skydived 500 times to train for that.
Over and over and over again. And
Over
they said,
and over and
and
over.
they said when they filmed it, he did 5 or 6 jumps over and over and over again to get every camera angle.
Correct.
Dude, the guy's a beast, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when you got that much money, I mean, look, any parachute, I was going to say paratrooper, but, any person that does skydives would love an opportunity like that. To be able to get on a plane,
Oh, yeah.
jump off, get back on the plane, jump off. I mean, shit. Can you imagine spending a whole day doing that? What a fucking high.
Well, and I think
he did it
that's
500 times in a year training for it. 15,000 bike
amazing.
jumps. 15,000 bike jumps.
Well, it's not
15,000?
15,000.
do you remember Apollo 13? They did what they call it, the vomit comet, the airplane that would go up and then do a nosedive so that they would be weightless.
Yes.
And so they filmed those scenes, and that
Yes.
was Tom Hanks and
Right.
Bill Paxton, and I don't remember who was the third guy. I don't know. Anyway, so they
Gil
did,
Gerard.
They did that over and over and over again throughout the filming of those weightless scenes. Imagine that. That's
It'd be
insane.
fun.
It would be fun, but damn,
Yeah.
Tom Hanks is doing this. I mean, he was top of the A-listers at the time.
At the time. Yeah, he's kind of slowed down.
Yeah, he's mellowed out a little bit.
Slowed down quite a bit. Well, he probably can't do that shit anymore.
No.
You know?
No.
Although Tom Cruise is. He's in his 60s, early 60s. Tom
Yeah.
Cruise is.
That's super cool. Who else is known for like doing their own stunts and all that kind of stuff?
Evil Knievel.
Pauly Shore.
Those are the two at the top of my list too. You guys are on it tonight, man. I'm very, very impressed.
Yeah. Evil Knievel did do his own stunts.
He
yep.
did.
Yeah, he ended up.
By the way. Yeah.
But,
so he did not die in a stunt. Didn't we figure that out?
No, he died of
but his son
something else.
did. I think his son died in
Oh,
a
I
stunt.
don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know.
Anyway, what about Keanu
Ed
Reeves?
Harris.
Keanu Reeves, does he do?
And Kevin
Ed
Bacon.
Harris. Well, no, he was
Who?
the.
Is Apollo 13 cast. Tom Hanks, Bill Paxton, Ed Harris, who was Gene
He was in Right Stuff.
Kranz.
Yeah, but Ed Harris was the dude that wore the vest. He was like the.
Yeah.
Oh, the control room guy.
Yeah,
Director,
yeah,
yeah.
You're right.
Then you have Kevin Bacon.
Kevin Bacon was the third one.
Yeah.
Kevin Bacon.
And
He
then
was
you had
the third
the other
astronaut.
guy. You
Bacon,
had
Gary
Forrest
Sinise.
Gump. Gary
Sinise.
Gary Sinise. Yeah, he was the one that couldn't go. Remember, because he got
he's
the
a good
flu.
conservative.
Huh?
God, I haven't seen that movie in years.
Well, he ended up getting the flu, and he couldn't go, and so Kevin Bacon went in his place, and that saved their hides because Gary, whatever his character's name is, he stayed back, and he went in.
Figured out the
He was
styrofoam
doing,
cup and string.
Well, he had to do all the sequence of turning things on and off to not let the battery go over because they were trying to do shit in the lunar module that they never designed it for.
Right.
So he was going over and over and over again. He was like, you went over, you went over, you went over. And he was like, let's do it again, let's do it again. So then they came up with the exact playbook of what they needed to do up there. Dude, man. When you talk about that is the greatest rescue operation in the history of mankind, in my opinion.
It had a lot going on.
Nothing can top that.
Square peg, or square in a circle, whatever.
Yeah, it was
talk
the
about the carbon
oxygen-
dioxide.
The oxygen levels, that's right.
The filter, carbon dioxide filter, right?
Oh, it was one problem after
Take your
another.
left sock off.
Yep.
And
Is that where he dumped out a box of this shit and said, figure it out?
They said, this is everything the astronauts have on the lunar module.
Right.
Build something that saves their lives.
Right.
And it was one of those after another after another.
Yeah.
Wow, that
I
was
would have to
cool.
watch it again. It's been years.
Oh, such a great.
since I've seen
It's
that.
an A+ movie in my book.
It was well done.
Yeah.
Right Stuff is another one I want to watch that again.
I think I've seen that once. I need to go back and watch that.
Yeah, that's same, not the same story, but the same folks, right?
During that period.
During that period.
So I think it was leading up to them going to the moon for the first time.
Well, it starts with Chuck Yeager
yes.
testing the X-12.
Oh, during
and all
that
stuff.
decade,
SR-71.
it'd be. I would love to go through a timeline. The JFK said, "In 10 years, we're going to the moon," and I would love to see. Was that even close?
I don't know.
I don't know either. I would love to see a timeline of all the shit that had to happen with all the big names, Chuck Yeager and all that, of how they pulled it off. Amazing shit.
Yep.
All right, man. Good podcast.
There's tons. All right, dudes like us, it is the 7-Eleven. God bless. I think they have the get your free ice cream today at the 7-Eleven stores, don't they?
Maybe.
I don't know. Do they?
I just
think
realized
on
we're gonna
7-Eleven
have
they
to
do.
we're gonna have to double up on the bourbons on the next podcast.
We'll talk about both those next time.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, thanks to our producer, Mr. Austin. Dudes like us, I'm Sean.
I'm Paul.
And I'm Jeff.
Oh,
Wow.
well,
You okay?
Just drank some bourbon.
You have your Apple phone watch? We need to check on you? What's going on?
Cancel. I'm
falling
okay.
a
All
hole.
right. Adios.